Foreplay, presented by Barstool Sports. We are back with one of our favorites, one of the more interesting guests we ever had, one of the more surprisingly interesting guests, I would say, the first time, not because he's not interesting, but because he's got such an analytical, serious approach to the game of golf that we didn't expect. Alfonso Ribeiro. They're doing the 32nd season of America's Funniest Home Videos, and once again, we get into it to the point where he joined early, Frankie joined early, so then it was just him and Frankie, and then I joined, and I came in the middle of Alfonso and Frankie going deep into chipping, and then Trent, and it was just, we were just immediately deep in the sauce with our guy Alfonso Ribeiro.
Yep, I hopped onto the old interwebs, and usually, in the first couple minutes, I'm getting myself together. I have to, record locally. I got to get the mic set up. I was actually eating a massive bag of popcorn at the time, one of those fucking carnival-size bags of popcorn. And the first face that popped up, no one else, not anyone from our team, not our PR person, nobody. It was just Alfonso was sitting there in an empty room. I'm like, oh, boy, I'm in one right now. So then I just had to turn on my mic. I'm like, hello, Alfonso. We were just in an interview. So.
Luckily, he's one of the easiest guys to talk to in the world.
I
actually haven't heard it yet because I jumped in late. I'm sure you were like, so I got this elbow surgery. What am I going to do? How am I going to recover and play golf again once I recover? And he'll talk for 25 minutes.
Yep. He gave me all the tips and the tricks on how to now practice, and he told me what not to practice because of the arm that is hurting and how it's going to actually affect my chipping worse. And yeah, he's one of the more bright minds I think I've ever spoke to, and I don't know that I ever expected that when you think of Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
That's the perception. And when he was pitched to us originally as a guest, it's like, oh, we're going to have Carlton on from the Fresh Prince. And then we bring him in and we talk to him for 5 minutes and we're like, this guy loves golf and he's very analytical about it. And the things that he says about the game are very true and very applicable. He really is one of our favorite guests, whoever comes on here.
Yeah, he articulates so many different thoughts well, which we don't do on this show. So when he comes in and does that, he's also one of those, very few people that you talk to like this, as you're talking, you could see him formulating his thoughts back, and he's eager to begin talking the whole time that you're talking because he's got so much to say about everything, but especially about the game of golf. So he was great. He's one of those that I go back and listen to every time because I want to be able to digest everything he was saying.
Right. I agree.
He also is a stick. He just posts good scores.
He was throwing out numbers like 65 in this interview, possible 62s if no one talked to him about a score. So, yeah, the guy can play. One of the best guests ever. And I really think the listeners like hearing his perspective on the game, too, because he is just a regular guy. He's not on tour. He's not a professional golfer. He's a regular guy that cares about it so much that he's gotten to the point where he can shoot 65. And I think there are a lot of listeners that try to apply themselves. I mean, Riggs, you try and get to that point in golf. You go out there every single day. So it is fun to hear a regular guy that has accomplished being able to go beyond scratch and play and hit those kind of numbers. And his approach to the game, it's pretty unique.
So Alfonso's coming up. He's great. We got a bunch of stuff to get to. We got Tiger Woods sighting. We've got Sungjae Im, which is a lurch pick, who he said was going to be the best player for the next 5 years. We got a Matthew Wolff resurgence. Phil Mickelson is now 3 for 4 on the Champions Tour. None of that pales in comparison to our guy Trent. So we're going to get to Trent. Before we do that, something related, Owens Mixers, which they are very, very much strong, awesome supporters of us and also of what goes on, Chicks in the Office, Bachelor recaps. This stuff's fantastic. You pour it in with your favorite liquor, okay, and you just make awesome cocktails. You can get it on GoPuff. You can get same-day delivery. Amazon, you can get next-day delivery. And then owensmixers.com. Figure out exactly where it is near you. They got a store locator. Go pick it up and enjoy it. They got a bunch of different flavors. Their margarita mix, one of their new ones. Everybody loves a nice marg. And then obviously the transfusion mix, which is our favorite golf cocktail. These puppies we taste tested. We got it just right. We got the ingredients just right. It saves you a bunch of steps. You pour it in with a little vodka, and you've got a delicious transfusion cocktail. So we love Owens. Now, I have to say, on this very show, we went on for probably way too long about our very own Trent Ryan. And we in our own minds, thought we got ourselves too worked up to the point where the only thing Frankie was talking about was how wet the floors were going to be and how big of a problem Trent was going to be in this place. And we went on and on again. And we built on it, and we stacked on top of it. We had such a good time with it. And we dramatically undersold Trent's presence and the pop that Trent was going to get in Boston, Massachusetts this past Thursday and Friday, to the point that we just have a mega superstar heartthrob on this golf podcast right now, and it's Trent Ryan. And it's an honor to talk to you today, Trent.
Before you go, I want to alert the listeners that there was a Category 5 tidal wave in Boston. I mean, I don't know if that's how you categorize tidal waves, but an absolute monsoon inside. What was the name of the bar?
Ned Devine's.
Ned Devine's will have water damage for years to come. I hope they bought insurance, because when Trent Ryan walked out of that fucking behind the stage,
it was crazy.
Lurch was there in the flesh. From the video viewpoint, I don't know that I've ever heard a pop like that in my entire life. We're talking WWE. We're talking John Cena walking out after years of not being in the scene, and like the crowd goes crazy. No, Trent Ryan, bigger pop. Bigger pop.
You guys are being very nice, and it was a fantastic experience. Shout out to everybody who came. Shout out to Rhea and Fran for inviting me. That was very nice. It's funny, the conversation that we had on this show the day of, where we were talking about what was going to happen, how it was going to go. At the end of that conversation, I had convinced myself that it was going to be crickets. And I know that sounds crazy, and I know like it's just my brain fucking with me, but like I was legitimately very nervous just because I had never done a live show before. They had never done one. So you don't know what it's actually going to be like. When we do this job, we talk into cameras, we talk into mics, we talk, that's pretty much it. We're not actually getting audience feedback or anything like that. We know that there's listeners out there. We have Twitter followers, we have Instagram followers, but it's different when it's right in front of you and there's an audience there and there's a crowd. So I was very nervous that I was going to go out there and they were just going to be like, yeah, we like that guy's bachelor tweets. I thought that might be the response. The response that I got was overwhelming, is the word that I would use.
Charts. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, Lurch was there. It was so funny. So the show started at 7:30, and I don't remember if we talked about it on the show or not that Lurch was going to try to show up. I can't remember if we talked about it or not. But you were like, I'm in Boston. I'm going to try to get there and see at least your entrance and see what the scene is like. So at like 8:15, you showed up, and I was waiting basically backstage, but I came in from a different angle or whatever. And Lurch was there. And I guess he'll be able to tell you better than I, because I was nervous and I was just like, I'm about to go out there. I don't know what's going to happen right now.
Yeah, I mean, you were nervous. You were definitely nervous. I didn't know what kind of scene I was walking into. I've been to Ned Devine's plenty of times in my life. Good little hangout spot, especially in your young 20s. So I was like, What am I getting into? And I walk upstairs, and the bar is still operating in like the first room. There's people having drinks, whatever, some food, just hanging out. Then there's like a middle room, and that's where I walk into, and Trent's just sitting there on the couch, just like giddily nervous. Events Lisa's there, live events Lisa's there, and they're just kind of chatting. And I could tell Trent was like, I don't know what I'm about to get into. Like, this is going to be crazy. Or just like, to Trent's point, just like, yeah, that guy does tweets, like whatever. So for about 5 minutes, I'm watching Rhea and Fran go about their bit, and it's about Bachelor. I don't really know what they're talking about, but the scene is electric. Like, they started out, they did a great job. They handed out shots right away to get everybody kind of buzzing. And then it drops, and like Trent's coming out, and the whispers start to echo through the room of like, I think it's Trent. And to this point, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? This is unbelievable. There's my $5. And then the crowd goes nuts. Like, the mixtape that shows up to like the pump up tape that plays is just off the charts. Excitement is through the roof. And then when he comes around with his little piece of luggage, comes around the corner, the place, I mean, you couldn't hear. I mean, it was outrageous. I mean, people were going nuts for 5 minutes until it was like a quiet down situation. People were going off, and yeah, Trent would just kind of like giddily went up there, and I could tell you were nervous out of the gate. But then you get a couple words out, it starts flowing, it becomes natural again. But yeah, Frankie's right, man. There was a monsoon moving through that bar.
I was nervous when I first got up there because you don't know what the response is going to be just like talking into a mic.
I knew.
No, I know. And again, I generally had an idea, but then your brain starts to eat itself.
Nobody had that kind of an idea, though, man. This place went bonkers for T-Daddy coming in. I mean,
they threw bras at you, right?
Well, that's the most impressive part is that night one, place went crazy. Lurch was there for that. Building almost collapsed. Night two, you'd think there'd be less of a pop because there's no surprise, right? They're definitely going to bring out Trent. And he almost gets more of a pop and then 2 bras thrown at him. He's getting 36 double Ds tossed at him. And he's wearing them as a fucking chain. Like the most swagger I've ever seen. The most swagger stage presence I've ever seen. A guy sitting there talking about The Bachelor with a bra draped over his shoulder.
And the slow removal of the glasses on night one was...
my God.
Oh, yeah. We had talked about that.
Dude, that was very daytime. Who did I say it was? Henry Cavill?
Connick?
Harry Connick Jr.?
Yeah.
It's just anything Trent did, the place went, woo! Like, he could have done a little twirl. They would have went nuts. He could have spanked his ass or something. Anything he would have done, they would have went fucking bonkers for. You had them hook, line, and sinker. They were eating out of your palm.
And it is what I had told, or what we had talked about, Rhea, Fran, and I before, because they were nervous, I was nervous, and then what I was saying was that like these are Chicks in the Office fans. Like it's not an open mic night where they're like, who's gonna come up on this stage? Like so. They were just happy to be there. They had a great time. The crowds were so awesome, and basically anything that Rhea and Fran said, like they just ate it up because they love the podcast so much. So once you realize that they're on your team and they're not there for anything else but you guys, that makes you a little bit more comfortable. But I mean, the whole thing is honestly just insane. I had a really, really good time in Boston.
So Gary Williams, who used to host Golf Central, now he does his own show, asked me to come on this morning. And one of the questions he asked me, he said, who are you guys' direct competitors? And we kind of got in this conversation. And essentially we kind of agreed on nobody because we are so different. And then I said, to the point where one of our guys, Trent, does a series where he's trying to break 100. And this past end of last week in Boston, he walked onto a stage where they talk about The Bachelor and current events and entertainment and pop, and had bras thrown at him on stage. And then we have a guy that films pizza reviews and plays the drums in like a fake pop band. I did like an interview with the vice president's like chief of staff during the pandemic last year. Lurch is in Turkey half the time, like slinging drones and stuff. And I was like, and we do a alternative golf media brand that like nobody's like that, and whether that's bad or good, or we don't know who Bud Cauley is or whatever, like this is what is just psychotic about everything. And the fact that we again tried to play it up, we tried to get hyped, we tried to make you uncomfortable with your expectations being so high, and then that pop was infinitely more impressive and real, and it was like a Beatles screech. Like people weren't even just like clapping, they were like squealing at you, Trent, because you
people
walked
were
out there
reaching
with your
at
little
him to try to get like a piece of him. They were literally like reaching at him to try to touch him. It was
iconic.
I typed in top. You just used the word squeal. When I saw the pop, I tried to do a tweet of like, all right, number 1, Trent Ryan walks into the Bachelor live show. Then number 2, the Beatles get off the plane on their way to Shea Stadium. I actually typed in top squeals of all time. Don't Google that one because you're just not going to get a list. No one has formulated a list of top squeals. You're just going to find weird stuff on the internet, stuff that I usually get myself into late at night. But that we have to come up with some sort of list because he's in that realm, right? Like there is a realm where Trent now lives of top pops, and it's real, and it's not fabricated. We're not being over dramatic. It's a real thing that happened.
It's so strange.
It was as real as gets. I mean, yeah, I could not believe it. I mean, T-Daddy, would you have been more nervous knowing the pop that you got? Like if you knew that pop was coming, would you have been more nervous to like let down expectations, or that like, how would you feel if you knew prior? When I saw you, because we were talking about nothing, I don't know, we're like smile laughing. Like
I barely remember seeing you. I was so nervous. I barely remember talking to you. If I had known that I was going to get that pop, I would have been less nervous because like I said, I really had convinced myself, and I hate my brain for it, that they just weren't going to care. That they like there was going to be indifference is the word that I kept thinking about. Like they were just going to, oh, luggage guy Trent's here. There's this hype video that producer Noah made that's very funny, and they're just going to be like, all right, cool, yeah, we're at the Chicks in the Office show. That's what I was thinking. So if I had known, and I guess the second night I did know, but like Frankie's saying, I thought they might be a little less excited because it was clear that I was in Boston, but I would have been less nervous if I had known.
Lurch told us like the place was gripped with this rumor that you were going to appear for like 5 or 10 minutes before you came out. It just hijacked the entire event that Trent Ryan with his luggage is somewhere in the building.
99% women, the whole building. It was nuts.
Oh, and people were going nuts. And my favorite thing, because Rhea and Fran were like, yeah, we've got like a special guest. And as soon as they said that, there was probably a 30-second gap before, or maybe a minute before Trent like appeared. Like there were a little bit of filler lines, and like people sort of whispering, like, I think Trent's here. So good.
It's all awesome. Very cool.
Absolutely awesome.
I'm very grateful for the whole thing. Again, Rhea and Fran, they put on a great show. They've got the rest of their tour now. They're heading to Philly. They're heading to Nashville. They're heading to Chicago. The tickets get snatched up so quickly that I don't know if you can even get them anymore. But if you have a chance to go see them, definitely go see them. It's the whole thing.
They did a great
insane.
Job. They did a really good job. Like I'm not even a Bachelor fan, but like it was engaging with the audience. They passed out live shots to start. Like it looked like a very fun scene, honestly.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a hell of a tour. They're doing a great job, those girls.
Yeah,
I think they added T-Daddy. Did they added like 30 seats night too? Didn't they?
They did. Yeah, they ended up putting more seats into Ned Devines, and they sold like 30 or 40 more tickets. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's so good. Well done, T. You were excellent on stage. It was an atmosphere like none other. Honestly, I truly could not believe it, but you did a great job and well deserved.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations, Trent. Very well
done.
And for Frankie and Riggs, if there's ever a rumor that this might happen again, it's honestly you must be in person. Like, the video was good, but it is must see. Like you have to be there. It is truly not to be believed.
Another thing I want to say, not about the show, but just about Boston in general. I fucking love Boston.
Yeah,
like
Boston's
I really hadn't spent much time there. 6 years ago, I went and I did like a commercial for a Barstool Sports beach towel. That's like 100 years ago now. I hadn't really walked around or spent a lot of time. We were in the North End, I believe that it is, and it's like the Italian district, and we went and had a nice dinner at this place called Monica's, and then we went and got cannolis from this place Mike's. And just, I guess growing up for me, being from Iowa, I thought big cities are big cities. New York and Boston are one and the same. They are complete opposites. Like New York, when I got back on Friday, and I got off the subway, or I got off the Amtrak, and I was by Madison Square Garden, it felt like I was entering a war zone. It's just it's chaos. The difference between Boston and New York is so different, and I really enjoyed myself in Boston. We walked around, I ate a bunch of food. I want to go back to Boston as soon as I can. It's a great place.
Boston this time of year too is as good as it gets.
Can't beat. I used to live like across the street from Monica's, so I would go there frequently, and then at Mike's, they have this pistachio cannoli. I think I texted you. I was like, dude, it's off the charts. It's a cannoli.
How many of those do you think you've had in your life, Lurch?
On a bad Sunday, and this probably created some of the dairy issue.
For a guy that can't eat dairy, you've had all the dairy.
Dude, I would go, and the cannolis there are big. They're like the size of like a mini football. Like huge.
How was the shell? How was the shell?
How was the shell?
The shell was good.
I would get 2 pistachio cannolis on like a bad Sunday, and just. Yeah.
It just feels more. Boston feels more digestible. New York City is just something that I can't even comprehend. Boston, I felt comfortable.
Boston too. You can walk from like one side of Boston to the other in a reasonable amount of time. An hour or two, you could walk from one side to the entire other. It's got just almost like a big town feel to it more than a city.
Correct.
It feels like a big town.
And the weather right now up there is like no humidity, perfect. It's just so nice. You can't beat.
We were right on the water.
It's a great spot in the north.
I got coffee on Friday or Thursday morning, and I just sat next to the water and drank coffee. It was a delight. I really had just the best time in Boston, clearly.
Yeah,
I love that
Frankie's not into the positive Boston talk.
That's all right. I mean, it's a nice city. There's no denying it. I don't like their sport teams, but yeah, very nice city. I've enjoyed my time in Boston before.
The best way to think about therapy is through many analogies. We get our cars tuned up to prevent bigger issues down the road. We get annual checkups and go to the gym to maintain physical wellness and prevent injury and disease. We do chores regularly to avoid a giant mess of a house situation, roaches, things like that. Therapy is like all of the above. It's routine maintenance for your mental and emotional wellness to prevent bigger issues down the road. Therapy does not mean something's wrong with you at all. It means you're investing in yourself to keep your mind healthy. Barstool Sports agrees. We're offering BetterHelp services to our employees at Barstool as an added benefit to help take care of the overall well-being of our employees. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you do not have to see anyone on camera if you do not want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy. You can start communicating with your therapist very quickly in under 48 hours. Why invest in everything else in your life but not in your mind, which may be the single most important thing you got? This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/4. That is BetterHelp.com/4. And you get 10% off your first month, betterhelp.com/4. You got to have a healthy mind. You got to work on your mind. It's very, very, very good idea to get involved in BetterHelp and to, like they said, kind of maintain and ensure, do everything that you can to keep that mind fresh and healthy, right, gentlemen?
That's right. Yep. Oh, it was always better to speak about things than bottle it all up and just think it out and talk about it. And your mental health is very important. It's just as important as your physical health. I mean, I'm dealing with physical health right now, which is probably leading to mental health issues.
How is your physical health right now?
It's okay. Yeah, it's good. I mean, I'm an idiot, so I think I'm doing the wrong things with it. Like I don't know. I've gotten a lot of DMs about how serious I had to take it, and I haven't taken it seriously at all. I was at a wedding this weekend, and I know
dancing,
like,
swing dancing.
Just dancing, like it's not in a sling. It's like I'm just kind of like loosey-goosey because it feels good now, and everyone's like, well, like you're not doing any rehab. Like my doctor told me no rehab really is needed, and like everyone, I got this tennis player that sent me his rehab schedule when he had the same surgery. It was a 12-week rehab schedule, and then like I read through it, and on week 12 he started to pick up a racket. I'm like, dude, I'm going to fucking band practice tonight, literally tonight. We're playing for 4 hours at this fucking studio to get ready for a concert next week. I just don't know how I'm gonna do that. So I'm a little nervous about like permanent nerve damage.
You pick up a drums? Like what can you do with that little wing of yours right now?
I can do it. I can twist the whistle now too, which is good.
Twist the whistle.
Yeah.
Never heard that before.
That is good. It
is good. So I mean, I'm at that point, but like I don't know. I'm just afraid of further damaging my arm. Like I'm not doing anything to make sure that it's healthy. Like if you saw it right now, it's a mess.
Well, I was gonna say I'm not a doctor or a surgeon, but that picture you put out was like, whoa,
Bad.
It was intense. It was intense. That's an intense picture, dude. When I went that day, and he took off the fucking, he took the wrapping off the first time, and I looked at it and I said, "So do you just send me to the hospital now?" Because I thought for sure I had blood clots or something. And he laughed so hard. He's like, no, you're fine. He's like, that's just from stretching the skin back, I think, like when they do the surgery.
So that looked normal to him? That wasn't like, ooh, this is
everyone bruises differently, I guess. But no,
okay. That's like the default saying, like, oh, everybody bruises differently. Yeah. But like that looked bad.
Yeah, it was bad. And now I've got like the steri strips falling off. So like I just took it off now and showed Erica. She's like, oh, how's your arm? And it just looks like a war zone because like the strips are falling off. They're dirty with blood. And I'm like, I'm not taking care of this.
Are you still taking any pain medication?
No, I stopped that. I'm glad that I just took that for a couple days and that's over.
That's good.
Yeah. That stuff gets nasty. And you can get into a whole conversation about that. Like, it's nuts what the fucking medical field does. I mean, you got to prescribe people with better medication here. I mean, they said to me, I only need it for a couple of days. They gave me 40 pills of Oxycontin. It's nuts. Yeah. Like, that's not right. That's
no, you don't need that.
Nobody needs that.
No.
So
I remember when I got my wisdom teeth out, my dad like wouldn't let me have any of that.
Right.
Like not one.
I mean, it's best to not use them.
Right. Totally agree with the decision. I was like, I could use some pain meds, but like, you don't need those meds.
No, scary. That stuff's slippery. So,
that's good that it's good that you feel good though.
I do. Yeah. It's just I don't know how I'm gonna get through tonight. We'll see. I've got this thing that I put on. It's like a sleeve, and it's just ice cold, and it makes me feel real good. Like I feel like fucking Superman when I put that thing on. So,
When's your next checkup?
In 3 weeks. I'll have already played the concert before the checkup.
Does the doctor know about the concert?
I lied to him about it. I said that the concert was after our checkup. He goes, "Oh yeah, you should be fine by then." And little does he know it's 8 days before the next checkup.
I mean, also it's like
I don't know.
Concert or no concert, you're doing a 4-hour practice tonight. That might as well be a concert. Like,
And tomorrow.
that's an insane amount.
Yeah.
You can't go full.
No, I can't. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's whatever. I'm just going to be a warrior.
We can't have you losing an arm on this
That's
podcast.
the thing I'm worried about. If you lose the nerve, you basically lose the arm, right? I mean, the nerve was slightly pinched and I lost all feeling in my pinky. What happens if I lose the whole thing?
God. You're not listening to anybody.
Kill me if I lose.
No, that's what I'm concerned. I heard you say I just want to be a warrior. Like that's not. I think that's the wrong mentality.
I know.
And in no way would anyone describe Frankie as a warrior.
No.
But you are like you're not a warrior. You're not. But you are like not listening to anyone.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's
mentally strong.
Well, that just makes you an idiot. I think that doesn't make you.
I got to do it, man.
Are you feeling the legit concern from us right now?
Yes.
Okay.
And you're making me nervous.
Okay.
All right.
You need people like us to tell you to not be a fucking idiot.
I got to
I'm
do
just
physical
picturing
therapy.
Frankie's arms are like, they're frail already, man. He just starts drumming away. One just hits the wall.
Right.
It just comes out.
Dude, if you guys are, I don't think we've announced where the show is yet, but if you're in the city and you're gonna come to the show, just keep an eye on my right arm when I'm at that show and just see what happens. If you see
Stand
me
on
starting,
the left side,
if
so
you
you
see
don't
me
take
starting
the
to use the
Frankie
left arm to hit the fucking hi hat and like go around for a fill, I'm gonna get the drum solo and it's just gonna be me smacking my head against the tom toms just to try and make any noise I possibly can.
I still think it's a viable option to have someone stand behind you, and even if they just do the right arm, if they just hit it, if you have a real drummer stand behind you and do that, I think that's much safer.
I think we'll try and figure out some sort of background drummer who's waiting in the bowels for my arm to just fall off. So, yeah, that's my update with my arm. Nothing, not much progress.
Scary.
It is scary.
Well, it's good. It's good to talk about. Mental health's important. So if you lose
mental,
it,
physical.
keep it positive.
I went to. You guys ever? I don't know if they have this stuff in like Iowa, unless they just have corn mazes. But
Don't use that term.
I went
I
to.
hope it's just like medicine.
No, I went to this.
Water.
Yeah,
No, it's like
what do you have? Do you have medicine in Iowa? Or
It's
no?
it's like a family resort where like it's almost what's the movie that like Heavyweights, but it's not a fat camp, but it's for families to go where they'll have like the blob in the middle of the lake, and then they'll have. So this place is called Woodloch Pines. It's in Pennsylvania. I went there this weekend. I used to go there growing up, and then we had a wedding there where we rented out a bunch of houses, and it was like the time of my life, man. Getting outside and breathing in the fresh air, being with family. I haven't been with them forever. We had like 180 people, all at like a family resort. Go-karts, rock climbing, batting cages. I couldn't do any of this stuff because my arm hurt. But you guys have stuff like that in Iowa where like it's a destination?
You guys got hotels in Iowa, Trent, or no?
I don't think we have what you are specifically referencing. We might have it, and I've just never been to one, but you're essentially saying it's an adult summer camp?
Yeah, that's basically what it feels like, man. And it's
Sounds
a lot
like
of,
just a resort. Sounds
but
like
but it's very summer campy. Like you like
Okay.
all like the feeling, like the person that you check in almost feels like a camp counselor, and it's for like adults essentially, right? Like they've got a fucking concert hall. They have bars in every single place. Like it's a fun spot.
I want you to know that sounds great.
It sounds unbelievable because it is.
I would go to that.
Horseback riding,
Horseback riding, skeet shooting, the whole thing. You can. It's yeah. You wouldn't be able to do it because your eyes are.
No, he
horrible.
can now because he's got it fixed. That was the reason.
But yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to that place. I used to go there when I was.
That's fine.
I used to go there when I was younger, and I thought of. I heard stories about it. I almost felt fake. Like, oh yeah, like you go on the little beach by the pond, by the lake, and like you play Fear Factor. Like they would come out and like you do family versus family Fear Factor games, and then like. And then I experienced it this weekend. It was fucking awesome. So I just wanted to give a shout out. Woodloch Pines.
I used to go to a camp every summer, and I enjoyed the hell out of it, and I would love to relive those memories.
So maybe I never went to camp. Right? I always went to
I
went to
baseball.
camp.
I always
Shout
went
out
to
to
baseball
camp.
camp.
Shout out to Wapsie.
I went to baseball camp. Shout out
Kiev.
Central Meadow Baseball Camp. I used to go there every summer, and I never got to go to the cool camps that my friends went to. And baseball camp did nothing for me but give me elbow surgery.
Yeah, the camp that I went to, we would play, or we would go in canoes. We would roast marshmallows. We would.
Yep.
We would. They had one of those What am I doing right now?
Zip
I'm holding it
lines?
up.
Zip
line.
lines. Yep.
Zip
Yep.
line. We do a zip line.
They had that.
So much fun.
That was like my camp. Yeah, I did the same thing as Trent. It was like canoeing, backpacking, camping.
do it for a
Camp
week.
Cave up in
Do it
Maine.
for a week in the summer.
Yeah.
So this
Mine
felt
was
like
like a
my
month.
first experience of that, and I fucking loved it. I always tend to believe that I am a inside person. I like to be inside, whether it's watching sports inside, playing video games inside, watching TV. I don't like outside shit. You know what I mean?
Sounds
I don't
like you do.
And I think I do. I thought I didn't like outside shit. I fucking loved it, man.
How far is it from where we're sitting right now?
2.5 hours?
That's nothing. I want to go.
Dude, we should go to Woodloch Ponds. They have a golf course there. Beautiful golf
I've heard
course.
it's really good.
Really?
Obviously you didn't play. I mean, if
No,
you played, did you play?
No, we stayed on the golf course, and
I was
it
gonna
fucking
say.
killed me to look out. Huge elevation on the tee boxes, looking down at these rolling hills, the foliage. I said, how am I not golfing right now? This
I've heard
is
that
nuts.
course is awesome. Yeah, but if you played golf with that arm, I'd be like, well, obviously he just doesn't care about getting healthy. Like,
Shout out to you for not doing the batting cages. Or
Didn't do the
Right.
batting cage. I did do the go-karts. I ran my aunt off the fucking off the
off
the road.
there.
Put her right into the fucking all those tires that they have stuck on. I just put her right in the tires. So eat shit, Aunt Laura. Eat shit. Eat my fucking gas. Wah! Dude, I've been watching a lot of Formula One. So when I was in the
Same.
go-kart, I felt like I was doing it, man.
push,
like
push,
Dude,
push.
I did it
push,
not too
push,
long ago. I
push.
felt the same way. You pass somebody or you go like way wide, then you scoop it on the inside.
Bro,
it was
box,
like
box,
right
box.
off of F1.
box, push, push, push. I felt like I was going around the turns, and I was gaining speed around the turns, and then I felt, and then you know what you do that most people that don't understand this, right? You have to watch Formula One to know this, is that you actually brake on the straightaways and you hit the gas on the turns, right? Because
Yes.
if you're coming in way too hot on the turns, you're gonna spin out. Which I never knew. If you try and brake on a turn too, your tires are going to spin out also. So I was doing all this stuff. I won every single race. Aunt Laura never had a chance.
We got our own Lewis Hamilton here.
Dude, go-karts are fun. We should do go-karts also. I want
Dude,
to do
I'll
all
just
these
go.
things.
I'll just go to where you went to.
I want to do all this
Right.
stuff.
I'll meet you there. Let's go right now.
Perfect.
Fun
Next
times.
travel series, we'll have a go-kart race.
Woodloch Pines. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, man.
I'm in.
Cross-country mortgage. Frankie's got a cross-country mortgage. Got Chris. Is it Chris?
Yes, Chris. Just the best guy you could possibly ask for, best company you could possibly work with. When you're getting a loan, you're getting approved, you're getting pre-approved, whatever you got to do for the home buying experience, Cross Country Mortgage is there to help you. We're in the process of looking at houses now. Obviously, we've been traveling a lot, so this past couple of weeks I haven't been able to do it. And Chris has been right on top of it, sending emails, being like, "Hey, like, how's the house hunting going? Do you need me at any time? Like, let me know, regardless of the day, time, doesn't matter, nighttime. You let me know when you find something. I'll get over your pre-approval to the people that need to be looking at this stuff, and then we'll get it done within that hour." You're like, this guy is fucking on top of it. Cross Country Mortgage, couldn't be happier to be working with them.
Rates are unbelievably low. You do not want to be paying the bank more than you need to. If you're a homeowner and haven't refinanced recently, you may be leaving thousands, maybe tens of thousands, potentially hundred thousands of dollars on the table over the life of the loan. Could be working for you in other places. Call today. Our friends at Cross Country Mortgage, you'll get a fast, free rate quote. Our partners can save you a lot of money. Go to Cross Country Mortgage. They're going to give you a free home valuation. That's free to you just for calling. CrossCountryMortgage.com/Barstool. Learn more about your future home buying experience or refinance your current mortgage. Cross Country Mortgage LLC, NMLS 3029. All loans subject to underwriting approval. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. And once again, this is a huge investment, huge part of your life. Probably forever, but definitely for a very long time. You want to make sure you trust the people you're working with. Cross Country Mortgage are as good as they get, so big thanks to them. Few current events items to get to. Tiger Woods, so picture emerged this weekend. Charlie Woods playing golf. Tiger Woods standing right behind him, leaning on a golf club, reminiscent of the thousands of times he's leaned on a golf club. No crutches. He just had a sleeve on his leg. It's almost as if he's just on another trajectory to come back to win golf tournaments again, which we claimed on this very podcast that he will. Even if he didn't do that, that would be totally fine. Tiger Woods could just go sail off into the sunset. He could live whatever life he wants to. He won't, because he is an absolute competitor. He's a savage. He's motivated by a million different things. That's why he became Tiger Woods. That's who he is, how he is. He absolutely will continue to be back, from all of the Ricky leaks that we heard, to Steve Stricker's comments about Tiger Woods trying to get back to play golf, to us seeing him now on a golf course with his very son, Charlie Woods, leaning on a golf club. It is just inevitable at this point, gentlemen.
It's nice to know that he's touched a golf club. That was my number one takeaway. Because before I was just picturing him laid up at his house with his leg in the air, elevated, and just sitting there because I think we had heard a report that he had been looking at his golf clubs. He just stares at them. So it's nice to know that he has pulled a club out of that bag and is now using it to lean on it.
And you know he didn't just lean on it, right? We know he took a couple swings out there. He's Tiger fucking Woods.
Do we know that?
You think he can resist the urge to swing a golf club when he has it in his
something
hand?
with it, or he
hit a golf
something
ball.
with it.
He hit a golf ball.
He hit a golf ball. He putted. He did something.
Right. He's out there. He's on the grass. When Tiger Woods is on grass, we've talked about there's no one else like him.
He knows what
no
he's doing.
one knows how to dress like him when he's on grass. No one knows how to perform like him when he's on grass. He's back on grass.
It's not a hockey podcast, but anybody grabs a hockey stick, you start stick handling golf balls around. You start stick handling literally anything you can find, your wallet, you just start stick handling something. You can't help it. Tiger Woods grabs a golf club. I don't care if it's Charlie's. I don't care if it's from the tailor-made truck. I don't care if it's Tiger Woods. I don't care if it's the kid next to Tiger Woods that Charlie was probably dominating in this competition or practice round or whatever. You just hear Tiger Woods, you grab a club, you start messing around with balls. Maybe he was just bouncing in between his legs, in between shots. Who knows? But the fact that he's just, like Frankie said, he's around golf clubs. Golf clubs are just naturally finding their way into his hands and becoming part of his life again. We've seen this fucking play before. We've seen this we know how it turns out. It turns out great. Turns out emotional. Tiger Woods coming up 18, winning fucking golf tournaments. This is just part of that process. Golf clubs just find Tiger Woods. It's like the fucking the Elder Wand. It just reaches out to Harry while
Thor's
Harry's
hammer,
fucking
baby.
walking around the shop. Exactly. That's just what we're doing right here. That's part of the process right now.
Thor's hammer also found Captain America.
Fuck. You know what I mean.
So
If I'm another one of those, I don't think that matters.
Okay.
I think it's fine. Thor's hammer, Tiger puts his hand out and a golf club just goes into his hand.
I like that.
If I'm another one of those kids on that driving range, I somehow get my clubs, or at least one of them, into Tiger's hands. Just like a little magic. Like I walk by him and I actually drop it next to him, have him pick it up, oh, thank you, Mr. Woods. And then that's just the magic club. You just got to somehow have him touching your clubs.
Maybe I should use that ball that Justin Thomas tossed me from Tiger Woods' bag.
You can't use that ball.
Well, if you're talking about the magic, if he was rolling those things.
But not something you can
PGA
lose so
Championship.
easily. A golf club is something you're not going to lose.
My point
You'll
is,
lose that
what if
ball
I
on the
never
third
lose
hole.
that ball because it's got Tiger Magic on it? What if I never lose that ball? What if I just stripe the shit out of it?
If you want
it's
to
not a risk. It's not a risk this show is willing to take.
No. Clubs are different. You're not going to lose a club.
Yeah.
Ball, you're going to lose pretty fast. No offense. It's good to see him. We just never see Tiger anymore.
Yeah.
Ever.
It was amazing to see him out there. Feels like that leg sleeve is kind of permanent, I feel like.
Might
and
be.
then
Pretty minimal,
just
though, for the damage that we heard that he went through. Obviously, he's had massive amounts of surgeries and massive amount of work done on his leg.
Right.
But that's a minimal little sleeve action there. It's nothing more than a compression sleeve from the naked eye.
You think that
Yeah, I
sleeve's
agree with
permanent?
Well, no, not yeah, I would say if he's wearing shorts in the public eye, he's wearing that sleeve that, I think it is just a compression sleeve. I think he takes that off every day, when he's home, but I think for all intents and purposes, he just, wow, I could not say that.
That was awesome.
Whoa.
Tentative.
No,
Yeah,
I still need, no. Hold on.
All intensive purposes.
It's intents and purposes.
All intents purposes?
Intense
Or all
and
intensive purposes.
I thought it was all intents and purposes.
All intents and purposes.
Intents and purposes.
Yeah.
Is it?
It's not intensive purposes.
Intensive purposes would be man, these purposes are intense. We're not. I don't think that's what we're trying to do.
Right. No.
I'm with.
All
I think it's intents and purposes.
I find
Intents and purposes.
That happens to me sometimes too, Lurch. Don't worry about it.
No, I'm not.
Totally,
yeah,
buddy.
I didn't
you
even
don't
know the
think
right way
I've
to
been-
go with it, though. I mean, I definitely misspeak and don't pronounce things the right way, but I didn't even know the right way to go with it.
My buddy Rob does that. He was on a date and he thought that the term was full belly red instead of full bodied red. So he tried to act all fucking cool, and he's on this date with this girl, and he goes, the waiter comes over and says, what can we get you? He goes, just bring over a full belly red, please.
It's like, sir, is that a snake? Is
And
that a bird?
and the girl's just like, full bodied, please. Oh my God!
Your buddy Rob, who I love, although I have never met. You could tell me any story about him, and I'll believe it.
Oh my God!
That's the zone
dude.
that he is.
I got to text my buddy right now to see. There was another one that's all time. Oh,
I mean, your buddy Rob is a TV character.
Dude, instead of one day something happened, right? Like something happened to him where it was a catastrophe, right? And he comes into the room and he goes, "You guys wouldn't believe this shit. It was a catastrophe." And we're all like, what? And we're all sitting, and then he continues the story, and we're all sitting there not listening to one word he said. And I'm like, what the fuck is a catastrophe? And then someone finally just cuts him off 10 minutes later and goes, catastrophe? But he says these things so confidently, so like just it's part of his vocabulary that he doesn't even think about it. He's like, yeah, it was a catastrophe. I went in and I ordered a full-bodied red, and we're like, what?
Damn.
A what? So yeah, no, we all I mean, it happened to me on this show a lot of times,
Yeah,
but
this podcast isn't perfect.
it's funny
people
when
know that.
people confidently say the wrong thing.
I forget even where I was going with it, if we're going to be honest.
I don't know.
The
You were
sleeve.
saying intensive purposes. I got one real quick. My buddy Pat.
Oh, yeah,
in
just the
high
public
school-
images of his leg. Yeah.
Yeah, right. My buddy Pat in high school, we were doing, we must have been reading. It was like Achilles and like old Greek, like
Mythology.
that we had to read. And the teacher would go around and you have to read like a paragraph each, out loud. And it got to him, and I'll never forget. He's reading, and he just go scrolling across the page, like nervous as can be.
Yep.
And he's like, and then Achilles pulled out his sword, and he and everybody in the room just lost their minds.
Sword.
There was nothing worse than having to read, like they went along the line, and you're just waiting. Your hands are sweating, and you know how to read. You know how to do it. You know words. You know what books are. You know what pages are. But as soon as it gets to you, you say sword, and you don't know why.
Dude, you also like all your buddies are just waiting for something too. They're looking at you like, oh, is he gonna get through this? Or
You're
not?
still telling that story. You just told it on our podcast that has many listeners.
I can't tell you how many times the locker would be like, oh, you're gonna pull out your sword for the rest of the year. It was fantastic.
Dude, last night, and this is me being honest on a podcast with a lot of listeners.
Okay.
Last night, I forgot how to do like basic multiplication. Like like the writing down multiplication, like 12 times 8 with a line under it. 12, and then underneath was the. I forgot like what the steps were, right? Like, like I forgot that the one goes on top of the other one. I looked because I realized in my head that like I wasn't able to do this math equation. And whatever I was searching, I'm like, oh, how much is that? And then I tried to do it in my head. I'm like, now wait a minute, like. Do I know how to do this anymore? And I fucking wrote it out with my finger, and it took me so long that I had to search it. I searched the steps for basic multiplication last night.
It is true that I haven't done it in so long that I don't know if I would be able to do it. I just use my phone all the time.
Right. Like, I just didn't remember, like, which one went on the bottom and then, like, where you put the number on top. I forgot the number on top thing existed. So I'm doing 12 times 8, and I'm putting 16 on the bottom, and then I kept getting 160 something. I'm like, that's just not – it just wasn't the number. I'm like, it's impossible for it to be in the thousands. I'm like, I know it's not in the thousands.
12
so what
times 8, yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing here? So that was really bad last night. Real bad.
I don't think that's that bad. I think that's fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Just to like forget all the basic things that we've learned in school. I mean,
I don't think I could do it right now. I think I'd have no fucking idea. Like long division and fucking
Long division, I would say.
shit. Oh, I couldn't
No
do any
way.
of that.
That's trickier than multiplication. Long division's going to foul some people up for sure.
You have like
I was
a
just thinking through
remainder
this stuff.
or whatever.
The
Yeah,
little-
no way.
The little
So I'll-
house you put over it and shit.
he
Like,
probably
oh,
listens to
dude.
this. He probably listens to this. So I'll give Rob this. He's great with math and numbers. All right.
Okay.
He needs a win in this life.
That's why he does a job where you're not allowed to laugh.
Yeah, he doesn't laugh, but he'd crank out like Pythagorean theorem. Like he knows, you know what I mean? Like he's good with fucking numbers. He knows how to do that. So I'll give that. To
I
him.
want Rob to know that we love him.
We do. We
Oh,
love, yeah, we do.
Every story I hear is better than the last.
You want to know how much of a legend Rob is?
Yeah.
He happened to be at that Texas A&M Alabama game in Texas, and he rushed the field.
Oh, wow.
He just was there.
Good.
Like
Good.
he just booked that years ago. So the guy's got a big W on it, you know?
Sorry, Jake.
Sorry, Jake. What's that about? Why don't you get that mic on?
here.
Do you think that's one of the worst losses in college football history?
Not to make my weekend any better or talk about it even more, Iowa's number 2 in the country, baby.
Fucking huge win against Penn State.
Huge.
I mean, it came down to the wire. Awesome.
And I know
win.
their quarterback got hurt, and I want all the Penn State fans out there to know that I don't give a fuck.
Before we get to Jake, how do you feel?
That's not your fault, Trent.
Right.
That's not Iowa's fault that you're. That
I tweeted Iowa is good at football, and everybody said, "Oh, well, you beat our backup quarterback." I'm sorry that it's a contact sport. That's football, baby. People get hurt all the time. I am taking that win as a full 100% W for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and I do not care who got hurt. Our guy Riley Moss got hurt. You don't see me bitching about it.
How do you feel about people saying that you're not allowed to storm the field when you're a favorite?
I don't give a fuck about that either. Those are people who don't understand context. They have all these little rules that if they're favored and they're a higher rank, but what those fucking idiots don't understand is that that's the biggest game that's been at Kinnick in 30 plus years. Like they're just looking at it like they're trying to check boxes. Like, all right, Iowa was favored by 2.5, and they were number 3, and Penn State was number 4. Nope. I put that in my computer, and you can't storm the field. Fuck off. It's a huge, huge game for the Iowa Hawkeyes. It's a huge game for Kinnick Stadium. They're gonna storm the field. I have no problem with it.
Look,
None.
man, the best part about winning or your team winning a championship is the process. We've said that a million times before. Going crazy after wins, going crazy for certain goals or touchdowns or scores or whatever is a part of that process. Anybody bitching about like there's parameters for when you could storm the field, who gives a fuck? Your team wins a huge game. Storm the field, storm a bar, go do whatever the hell you want to do because the whole point is the process. Even if they win everything, then you're going to have a pretty similar like one night or a few nights or a week or a parade, and then it's just over and you get to go back to the process. So why wouldn't you just go and enjoy the process as much as humanly possible?
And hey, if you're mad about your quarterback getting hurt, don't let our defense fucking maul him. Woo! That would be my advice. Don't be mad at us because we tackled him super hard and he got hurt. That's on your offensive line.
Well, I mean, what were they like 2 and 5 in the country? What were the ranks?
4 and 5,
3 and 4,
4 and 5, 3 and 4.
3 and
so
4.
like, what? We can't storm the field. We beat the 4th team in the country. Let's go.
That's what I'm saying. It's all about understanding context, and they're just looking at it like it's numbers on a piece of paper about the spread and about 3 and 4. It's a huge game. It's a huge win. Get over it.
You also have to remember these are just like drunk college students. It's
Right.
not like it's not like Gary from fucking Cedar Rapids, who's 75 years old, is storming the field.
You almost exactly described my dad there. That was really something. He actually was there, but he didn't storm the field.
75?
No, he's 70.
Okay.
My mom was there.
close.
My dad was there. They had a great time. They didn't storm the field.
They didn't?
No.
That would have been awesome.
No, they're a little. But like you're saying, Jake, that's right. Like, you're gonna tell what like 20-year-old college kids can and can't do when they're drunk at a football game. Like, get off your high horse, dude.
Let's talk about what 20-year-old college kids can't do is when they play at Alabama, they can't beat Texas A&M.
Well, so my big thing is that I put it on Instagram. It was like Nick Saban of his 6 national championships at Alabama. Only 2 of the teams have been undefeated, and one of that was before the college football playoff. That was also like the best team, 2009.
So you still think there's still a chance, which there is.
Yeah, and we were talking about this before. Like if Iowa loses a game, they're out.
Yep.
But Alabama has the name, they have the pedigree. They're like, oh, like it was a fluke. You lose your defensive play caller in the secondary, the third play of the game to a bullshit targeting call, even though it was targeting. And I expect to lose at least one game every single year. They control their own destiny as long as they beat Georgia.
So no panic.
No panic.
Your trophy room is packed.
Yeah.
You got so many of them.
Like every single.
Let a lowly Big Ten team from the Midwest, from Iowa, get one.
But people like to watch the top burn, right? Like they like to
Exactly.
see. So
Big
there's
time.
like people they're feeling Saban slipping. They're tasting the blood. Can they just bounce back and just dominate for the rest of the year? Probably. But will they? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Brandon Walker, I think, said this is the year they missed the playoffs. This was before the season, right?
Yeah, he did say that.
It
It'd
is
be a hell of a call.
It is an
He
incredibly
also said
chaotic
Oklahoma
year.
was his national championships and Spencer Rattler was winning the Heisman. Spencer Rattler got benched.
It's a very, very chaotic year in college football, and I would love if my Iowa Hawkeyes could just sneak their way, get to the Big Ten championship, win that, get in a playoff, and then who knows what happens.
Now, I'm a casual college football watcher. I know Georgia is the real deal.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen a defense like Georgia. I mean, you can't do anything to them. You can't get anything by them.
They also, what was it, a few weeks ago? Who'd they play a few weeks ago? That was a big one, and everyone's kind of like, this is where they're not going to really
Arkansas?
do it. Oh, yeah, because Arkansas had been a little bit hot, and they'd won some games, and nobody was giving them credit, and they'd won, I think, 3 straight as underdogs, and they just fucking steamrolled them. And so
37-0. It was like...
They just steamrolled them. And even I was listening to, like, pick 'em with Rico and David, and they got me convinced that, like, oh, yeah, Arkansas is kind of the real deal. That was the worst bet I ever fucking made. They just got absolutely cleaned out. They had zero anything going on. So Georgia, didn't you call that at the beginning of the year, Jake? Didn't you say Georgia was going to be a real problem?
I mean, yeah, Coach Smart's kind of got that team, like, dialed. And then if you think about it, like, he kind of has all of his recruits now and everything's kind of going how it is, but he still has the Nick Saban thing on his shoulder. Like, he still hasn't beaten Nick Saban. I mean, Auburn hung 21 points, and Auburn sucks. Like, Auburn hung 21 points on that team. I mean, something just happened out there.
Yeah.
A lot of cheering in the office.
Yeah, probably when Alabama lost. But at the end of the day, I'm not worried about Alabama. I want Iowa to be in the college football playoff. I'd love to see Alabama, Georgia, Iowa, Cincinnati. That'd be awesome.
I want to see it too. My buddies and I, we would always talk about growing up, like, what would it be like if we played one of these teams? Like, growing up, like in the past, it was Oregon, where they were just so dominant. Like, what would an Iowa team look like against them? Because obviously we play in the conference. We're playing all those teams that we always play. It would be so great if we could just get to a level where we're good one year and we have to play a Georgia. Like, what the fuck will that look like? Will we get blown out by 40 points, or will we try to make it close? That's what I want to see.
Don't you hate that football plays its biggest games in neutral sites? Isn't that the dumbest thing in all sports? Like, in the NFL season, you have all these fans. They've been going to every single game. They go to every preseason game. They go to every home game. They go to every playoff game. And then their big championship, they move them to some fucking random stadium in some random city. Same with college. Like, your parents have been going to every single fucking Iowa game in Kinnick Stadium, sitting in the same seats, and then if they finally make it to the national championship, they're gonna have to go to, like, Dallas to watch the game. It's so stupid. Like, Kinnick should get that game. Like, I know that it's probably hard because it's different conferences, different teams, like who would be the home team, who would be the away team, but figure it out.
It's also kind of bullshit when, like, a team, let's just say, like, for example, like a Stanford has to play like an Alabama for whatever reason, and like it's just a Sugar Bowl and it's in Louisiana.
It's nuts.
It's like all the Alabama fans are going to go.
Why are the biggest games in the sport of football just not at the home stadiums? Someone tell me that.
That's an interesting thing I hadn't thought about. Yeah, I guess it's probably money.
And they're going to make just as much money at home.
And I guess but they're consistent sites. Like the Super Bowl I get because they're trying to get more fans, so they move it all over the place. But yeah, for college football, I feel like the locations of the big bowl games are always at the same spot. So it is.
I think it's a lot of sponsor stuff because they'll strike a deal with like Mercedes-Benz Stadium to host the national championship.
They can just have that deal at the stadium that they play in. No? I don't know. I know it's like more people, right? Like,
right. It does feel like it should be possible, though. Like,
but I mean, you can have more people in Kyle Field than
right.
Than
it's a good point, Frankie. You have a good point.
Yeah,
if there was a playoff game at Kinnick, I'd cry. I wouldn't be able to control my emotions.
And that should be like that for all these fucking schools, man. It would make it so much better. I just don't know how they'd pick home team and away team. It'd be electric if it was a coin toss on TV. Imagine like they get 2 representatives to come to a studio and they just fucking do a coin toss.
My dad literally just sent me pictures of Kinnick.
Awesome.
And how beautiful it is at night. And they got the.
How do they do the color coordinations in the stands? Are they handing out shirts?
No, they put the word out.
That's nuts that everyone. That's
I
almost
agree.
as crazy as no one making noise on the first tee at a golf event. The fact that you get 100,000 people to all follow some colorway that like someone tweeted
It's
out.
It's on the news. They it's all over the place, so everybody knows.
Wow.
They give an Amber Alert out.
They do the whole thing because it works, and Kinnick
It works every time. Every stadium, every college weekend, it works every time. I don't know how.
Go Hawks, baby.
Trent, I remember 2007. So my parents both went to Mizzou. My parents met at Mizzou. If there's anything we root for, it's Mizzou football, and they're never very good, but occasionally they are. In 2007, I believe it was, when they got to number 1 in the country, they played Kansas, I think, like the last game of the season, who was like number 3 in the country. Mizzou won, and then they got to play Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game, and that was the moment that you were describing where everyone's like, let's go, baby. We get to play. Finally, we do it. They lost by like 20 points and got just absolutely steamrolled by Oklahoma. But it was cool. It was like so much fun, that ride for like 2 or 3 months of actually winning the big games that they've never, ever, ever, ever won. And then finally it came up against one of the big dogs, one of the storied historical programs that's right there. They just fucking pummeled Mizzou.
Yeah, dude, it's like a sick experiment. It's something that you like, oh, these two teams would never play each other. And then, again, that would probably happen to Iowa if they played Georgia, but you just never know. So I want to see it happen.
Iowa versus Alabama would just feel dirty, but
Right.
it'd be awesome.
Yeah, but it's honestly this season in particular,
Yep.
which is like really cool, is that like Clemson's already out of it. Like Oklahoma's pretty much out of it. Alabama loses again, they're out of it. Then you have 4 fresh teams. Like
Right.
even if Georgia's in it, like Georgia's like the top dog. They're really never the top
No
dog.
pun intended.
Oh, I like that.
That is nice. Like, yeah, and Iowa's going to run
Dogs.
into probably Ohio State if they play in the Big Ten championship game, and that's going to be a big enough test. So, but the way I handled it in 2015 when Iowa was undefeated, you just got to enjoy the ride and hope that it works out for you. And if it doesn't, whatever. But it's fun in the moment right now.
We got to get you to watch a game with Zach Johnson.
100%.
I would love to do that.
It's nice that you brought
New
it back to
Amsterdam-
golf.
New Amsterdam Vodka, also really fun in the moment. In any moment, really, they're the official vodka of Barstool Sports. You can pour it in, get your little transfusion going, pour it in with all kinds of good stuff, or just drink it straight, because New Amsterdam Vodka is a premium 80-proof vodka made from some of the finest quality grains from America's heartland, which is what we're talking about right now. It's 5 times distilled for unparalleled smoothness, then filtered 3 times for a clean, crisp finish. Like we mentioned, the transfusion, but there's all kinds of different cocktails that you can make. You're going to want some vodka. You're going to want that vodka to be smooth. You're going to want it to be high quality. You're going to want it to come from those fine grains in America's heartland. New Amsterdam Vodka does that. They've been huge supporters of Barstool Sports for years now. We got the very cool branded bottles, boys and girls.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Very
nice.
cool.
Stool and stars all over. It's a very cool looking bottle.
Yeah, if you're into those kinds of things, then you're going to be into New Amsterdam Vodka. So, again, that's what I use for my transfusion drinks. That's what this podcast uses for its vodka. When we make drinks, that's what you should use. So, big thanks to New Amsterdam Vodka. They're delicious. It's high quality, and you're going to have yourself a good time with it. All right, we got a few more items to get to. We have Sungjae Im won the Shriners, won it pretty much going away. Won by, I think, 4 shots. He shot 62 in the final round. Lurch, this is your guy. This is your prediction. Does this make you
That's my
feel
horse.
a little confident now that your horse has gotten another W, his second PGA Tour win?
Yep, no, it gives me tremendous confidence. It's a lock for him being just the highest potential and having the best stretch of this 5 years. So I'm excited about it. We're going to have a hell of a year, and I'm just going to ride that pony to the finish. So, yeah, it validates everything I've said.
I saw a tweet that said Sungjae Im is 2 years younger than Will Zalatoris.
Oh, yeah,
Which
he's
blew my
super
mind.
young.
I knew that he
What?
was young, but I didn't realize he was that young. I don't think.
What's he, 21, 22?
23.
Holy moly.
I knew
That
he was
is
young,
wild.
but I thought Will Zalatoris was also just like one of the younger guys. And then
Oh, he
people
looks
coming
like
on
he's
my-
15 years old.
yeah, that's
Are
true.
people coming on my bandwagon now?
When's he going to the military?
I owe DVD on that. We got to win some tournaments. Maybe we avoid this thing.
I don't think you can
Yeah.
do that.
No, we just got to get in the Olympics. We got to get like somebody that comes forward. We just comes earlier. Than
I
You're
will
telling
not
me
be.
this guy wins the Masters tournament, and they're still
No,
going to
no.
ship him off to guard the wall?
I think they
I
would.
think
I
so,
think
man.
that's it. I think that's it.
I'm not.
I
jumping
know
on-
they would. I remember researching this, and they're like, "Yeah, no." They're remember what we said? It's like from Belmont on Long Island to Hoboken is how far like the
Yes.
where what is it? Seoul, South Korea, and like the border for North Korea are that far away from each other. So you
Insane.
need to be on alert at all times. And if you try to skip out on this duty, they publicly shame you in South Korean culture.
I will not be
Yeah.
jumping on the bandwagon because I want Lurch to be alone if it pays off, because that'll be quite a
Okay.
victory for you. Because that's really something. If it pans out and you were right that he is, what was the conversation? He's the most dominant golfer over the next 5 years. It's your victory, man. Your victory alone.
Appreciate that.
Literally the
It'd
only
be a
one in
hell
the
of a
world.
call.
The only one in the world that will celebrate that.
This show is so dumb that I have no idea who I said for that.
I think
Oh,
I said.
yeah.
I think I said.
I
Justin
assume
Thomas.
Frankie said JT. Yeah,
It's got to be Rom.
I think we
though,
said
right?
Rom, Riggs. I think you and I said Rom.
Morikawa,
All right,
maybe I
good.
said
That-
too. I don't
Rob's
know.
looking good then.
They're all pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Morikawa would be really good.
See, China had they sent 50 something warplanes. I think it was over Taiwanese airspace or something like that. So, that area of the world is. I
Jesus.
mean, that's why they need the Sungjae Ims to just go there and you never know what's gonna happen. China's a fucking Scary. Absolutely scary. They're a force
I had no
out
idea
there.
what you were gonna say there.
No, they're a fucking
No
force,
clue.
man. They're a fucking force out there. I've been listening to a lot of shit like that. Like that's the reason why we don't go into North Korea, because China, we're afraid of them. It's nuts.
Dude,
It's
I
all
would love
connected.
it. When you were saying late at night, I put on some weird shit. It's like I could see you
Oh
listening
my
to
God,
some
dude.
woo stuff.
Oh yeah, we gotta know what's going on in the world, man.
Congrats
I
to
could see you too.
Sungjae.
You're just susceptible to everything. So I could see anything that you listen to. You're like, fuck, man, this is
Yeah.
right. These guys are a problem. We need to
They
take
are.
them out.
They
Right.
are
It's
pro-
also everything you hear immediately becomes the biggest deal in the world to you.
yes.
It's like, why isn't everyone talking about this? Why aren't we talking about it with everyone? That's how it is.
Any Joe Rogan podcast that comes out,
Right.
and then I just believe everything that was said on that thing.
Correct.
I start the show. I'm like, all right, 4 players in. Frankie's like, China. We got to talk about China. It is a problem right now.
You're Shane Gillis's dad.
yeah. Well, no, actually,
Sungjae
no.
Im.
Actually, I'm not.
Sungjae Im is the best
Yeah,
player. in
no,
golf.
I know.
Will be over the
Okay.
next 5 years.
Yeah. Are we going to talk about
Congratulations.
banning Phil Mickelson from senior tour events?
Phil Mickelson's doing sneaky, one of the funniest storylines in golf, where he just shows up and beats up on like 55-year-old guys on the Champions Tour. I mean, I saw he was like battling with like the mechanic Angel Jimenez down the stretch, and I'm like, this is Phil Mickelson out there against these guys. And now I get it. Bernhard Langer had his run, and he's like, Bernhard Langer's like 65 now, I feel like, and here comes Phil Mickelson, who just won the PGA Championship, shows up once or twice a year and just cleans house whenever he plays in the Champions Tour. It's a very funny dynamic.
It's funny and also a little mean because he's not Phil Mickelson, but he's certainly Phil. He's certainly a little too good to be playing on this tour. I get that he's 50 and that's the age requirement, and he can play in whatever events he wants to. But at a certain point, the guys in these events might be a mutiny. They might be like, we're not allowing him to get out of his car because he's just going to win this event. It's not fair.
He's obviously too good
mean,
for it. He's won 3 out of 4.
Lit- Larry Mize is still playing. You got Fred Funk.
Dude.
I mean, like, you got
He beat
guys-
Larry Mize in the tournament. Come on.
They're in the field. It's like, I mean, this is crazy.
How does Phil actually feel about winning these events? Is he like, hey, I'm 50. I can do it? I don't know.
Do we have like what were the final scores? Like how much did he beat these guys by? Is it even close?
He won by 2, I think. He
Okay.
beat the mechanic by 2, 15 under, 13 under, I believe.
So I mean,
Yeah.
they have a chance. It's not like he's coming in there doing Tiger-esque type wins where like it's over by Thursday. Like, you know what I mean?
I know, but he's got a 75% winning percentage on
Right,
the Champions Tour. Like, that is preposterous.
That's good.
right. It's I mean, it's crazy. It's like,
I think if you
it's-
hit that threshold in your first 4 events, you can't play for 2 years.
No, I don't feel bad for the Champions Tour, man. Those guys all had their run at it, right? This is just them like back out there wanting to stay competitive in their older ages. Like, you're talking about guys that were on PGA Tour for years upon years upon years. You feeling bad for Larry Mize? The guy's like been playing golf longer than like the Earth's been around.
Well, they're
Like, I mean,
thinking they're playing in the Champions Tour. They're like, oh, I actually have a chance out here. Now I
No.
can win this. I can win one of these events. And here comes young stud Phil Mickelson.
you know what? If you're in the Champions Tour to have a competitive edge, you better be ready to get your ass whooped by Phil Mickelson. All right, like if you're still kicking and you still want to compete and you want to lace up, there's always going to be a younger, better guy out there that's going to want to come for your ass, and that's Phil Mickelson. He's the young guy on tour, and he's crushing everyone in sight. Hey, Larry Mize, there's a fucking rocking chair waiting for you by the fucking door, all right? I don't need you out here. I don't need to feel bad for you when Phil Mickelson comes and puts your fucking diaper back on, all right? This is Phil Mickelson's tour now. I'm all in on Phil Mickelson dominating this tour. I'm all in on it. If the rules apply for him to be able to play in these tournaments, he's allowed to do whatever the fuck he wants.
You think Tiger will play on the Champions Tour?
No. It's beneath him.
It's just, yeah.
I
He's gonna
can't
just
have
be like
Tiger
Charlie's
Woods.
biggest fan.
I can't have Tiger Woods on the Champions Tour. I can't.
The only reason is that somebody made the point that Tiger wants to win every USGA event ever, and he's got
Right.
every other one except like the Senior US Open. So he might just only play in that, win it, and then smell you later.
That's fine. He enters one tournament. It's just
that's-
like, I mean, every other player in the field should just like default and it just make it his.
That's enough domination for me to accept that. Like, if he just shows up to one, wins the biggest event of the year, and then says, I'm never coming back again, that's enough. To make a mockery of, like, Angel Jimenez's favorite thing in the world right now is, like, the Champions Tour.
Phil's being mean, in my opinion.
One of the old-timers is famous for showing up to the British Open once, winning it, and then never going and playing ever again. I don't know if it was, like, Hagen, or I can't remember which one, but somebody went over there once in like the 20s or 30s, won the British Open, and then never went back ever again. That's Phil, or that could be Tiger Woods with the Senior Tour. And I do laugh at the Senior Tour that, like, clearly there's an advantage to being 50 years old in like one day versus being 58 years old, like a massive advantage at that age. And you do get this every year where you see a guy like Ernie Els, I feel like was a year or two ago, where he just showed up and won. Freddie Couples, however many 4 or 5 years ago, where he showed up and just like started winning on the Senior Tour because they're barely over 50 years old. And that's Phil Mickelson right now cashing in. Matthew Wolff, big shout out to Matthew Wolff, who was off the radar. He was back hanging out with his friends at Oklahoma State. And all of a sudden, he reemerges, has a great performance in Vegas. He went 64, 67, 65, 68, finished solo second, still with those scores finishing 4 shots back, which is very funny and how hard the PGA Tour is. But Matt Wolff, who went through some mental stuff and was very outspoken about it at the U.S. Open, nice to see him play well.
Yep, he's a name that you want to see succeed. He's a good guy. We've had a couple good run-ins with him. He's very, very just down to earth. Definitely at first we thought that he was going to be this like college kid that like we couldn't stand, especially after that match down at Seminole, I think it was, where he was saying that's Gucci bra and tell your wifey I say hi and all that stuff. I just couldn't take any of it. Then we met him in person. Awesome dude, down to earth, funny, gets all of our jokes, gets our humor. I've become a fan of Matthew Wolff forever after that because he's just a very, very cool, a guy that I'd want to drink beers with, which I didn't think I'd ever want to spend any time with him. So nice to see,
yeah, great guy.
Nice to see
awesome
him
guy.
succeeding.
So good to see him on the comeback. Hopefully it's a sign of more things to come. He has a good year. I'm rooting for that kid for sure. So he also bombed. I don't know if you saw this, but like par 4, I think it was 290, kind of into the wind. He just ripped 3 wood and was just like on the back edge of the green. So just cool stuff that they're able to do. And congrats to him. Hopefully he does have a good year, maybe just a little less than Sungjae Im.
We're big Matt Wolff fans on the show. And then J.R. Smith, who just completed his first collegiate round ever. This was just very funny. This was a golf tournament in, North Carolina. He plays for North Carolina A&T. This is his first collegiate round ever. Didn't go great. He shot 81, but I will say that he had 2 guys on his team. He was I think he was listed as number 5 on their team because they kind of rank everybody. He had another guy on his team, I think, who 2 guys shot 79. And then I'm looking right now, maybe they're doing 36 holes today. They must be because he's 1 under par on his second round of the day. But J.R. Smith is literally playing in a collegiate golf tournament and just getting paired up with random guys that are just college-age fucking kids playing college golf. And the whole thing is outrageous and also just really cool.
He tweeted out the other day that he got like an 82 on his midterm, like with all exclamation points.
I would kill to shoot an 81, by the way. If we're just going to gloss over the fact that he shot an 81, I would die for an 81. So that's pretty damn good. The whole thing's absurd in the best way.
It's good for golf. Yeah. It's a good storyline. It's just like this J.R. Smith. I mean, known obviously for his basketball career now is just, where is it? North Carolina A&T?
That's where he plays, North Carolina A&T.
Just like nowhere, just the middle of nowhere and playing golf, but obviously playing all right. He's got an all right game if he's shooting low 80s or high 70s. So, I'm rooting for JR here as the career goes forward.
Can't believe that score because I watched some videos and he was throwing darts at the pins. I mean, every single video they put up of his first round, it looked like he was hitting the ball to 2 inches.
Well, it's what Massachusetts Golf Association does with Ryan Whitney every time he plays in a tournament. They just tweet out these videos where it's like, great finish for Whitney with a birdie, and you look, and it was like he's in 79th place and shot like 78. It was identical with what they were doing with that, where the only videos I saw, Frankie, it was every time they showed J.R. Smith, he was 2 feet away from the pin. Everybody's clapping. I looked,
insane.
And he posted an 81. But I was also thinking, like, this team has to have more than just 5 players. So clearly he was considered one of the top 5 ones that they put on there, like on their team to clearly try to win and post a good score. But he also, Frankie, I was looking because they started on something weird, like the 6th hole. It was kind of a little bit tricky to follow. But he ended up having, at one stretch, he had 2 birdies and 3 holes, and then he had like 5 pars in a row, so it was looking good. And then he went bogey, bogey, double, bogey, bogey, double, bogey. So it was like just a ton of lost strokes at the end because it looked like he had it going for a little while there.
There's got to be a documentary crew following him, right?
Has to be. Just the interactions with like the nerdy little white kids that are on the North Carolina whatever VT team. Like, I can't imagine those conversations because these kids, half of them are probably 18 years old. I mean, you know what I mean? You're talking kids just out of high school trying to mesh with fucking J.R. Smith.
Not to mention he's got $50 million in the bank or some outrageous number. So it's like, it's just got to be. And then thinking about that whole picture, Frankie, I saw that tweet too, where it was like, just got an 82 on my like liberal arts exam or whatever the hell it was. It was like, I mean, this is too good. The fact that this kid, I mean, this is off the chart. So yeah, go J.R. Smith, go NCAA, and hopefully he qualifies for more. But there has to be a storied crew going around with him.
Dude, he tweeted out today, pulling up to the range at my first college tournament, and then it's just the gif of Tiger walking into the PGA Championship.
How much do you guys think J.R. Smith made in his NBA career? I got it pulled up right now.
I'm going to say $72 million.
Okay.
$100 million.
Okay.
I'm going to say $95 million.
$90 million is what he made.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of cash.
He's just getting 88s on his liberal arts exam.
Exactly.
It's just not even a class, just liberal arts. I think it's just like a
I
type
know.
of
I mean,
school.
like, whatever he got. Yeah.
Whatever it is, who cares?
He won what? One championship with Cleveland? So he's got a championship.
He was shirtless all the whole time
Shirtless,
after in the celebrations.
He's got a good life, that J.R. Smith. Now he's just back in college.
He went over to China, got a championship there, won a scoring title.
No way.
Yeah.
He did?
Because between the Knicks and the Nuggets, he had like a year off. He just went over to China, won a championship, came back.
Right, like he's 36 years old right now.
Yeah.
Like that's nothing.
He
like his professional basketball career, it's over. It was very lucrative, and now he's just like, oh, I'm going to go back to college. I'm still in my mid-30s. I've got all this money, and I'm going to play college golf. That's an amazing idea.
Sent that DM, you trying to get the pipe?
Yep.
It's one of the all-time DMs.
That's true.
He like messaged some girl like, oh, you in New York? She's like, yeah. He's like, you trying to get the pipe? She's like, yeah. Got a huge dong too.
Okay.
That's come out on. I mean, that's all over the internet.
Is it?
Yeah, dude. Remember that picture of him in?
I didn't know that.
He's in like boxer briefs, and everyone's like, "Are you kidding me?" With
Oh,
this
I think I do remember that now.
absolute log in your pants. Dude, that thing like broke the internet.
Yeah, that was a big time. That was a big one. Now he's just playing college golf with these other guys. Let's look at the names of these kids he's playing with. He's got
Walter
Diego Gonzalez is on his team. Xavier Williams.
There we go.
Diego Sanchez. Martin Gutierrez. These are his teammates out there, and then it's just J.R. Smith.
There
playing
you go.
golf.
Fuck.
Wow,
J.R. Smith. What a story.
what a story.
1 under for his second round, so good luck today. All right, we're going to throw it now to Alfonso Ribeiro, unless you gentlemen have anything else on your minds there.
I don't think
Nothing
so.
from me.
I think I'm all
right.
set.
Frank as he
thinking,
ponders. Let's
try
close
to
it out
find
before
something.
Frankie gives something.
Yeah, we do
Back
need to
to
get going
China.
before he starts thinking of something.
Yeah.
So
Well, I asked Rudy
that's all I
before.
got.
No.
I asked Rudy before, like, what the like.
Alfonso Ribeiro, great
What are
guy.
sounds? How do sounds work? But go ahead.
Enjoy Alfonso. He's the best.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Notion is an all-in-one team collaboration software combining note-taking, document sharing, wikis, project management, and much, much more into one simple, easy-to-use tool. It is the one place where every team from engineering to sales can work together seamlessly with 500 integrated apps, including Google and Slack. So all that work stuff that we try to avoid our entire lives, that we do this show so that we never have to speak about that whenever the business folks from our team, from Barstool Sports, try to say, get on Slack, get on Google. I can never figure out which program they're on. Notion syncs, collaborates in real time. All this stuff tailors workflows to your team's specific needs. You can share with ease. Hundreds of thousands of teams worldwide are already saving all kinds of time, getting more done, and delighting their employees with Notion. we are going to get you collaborating with $250 off at Notion.so. Use the promo code FOREPLAY, which is one word. You can find out how Notion may be missing the missing piece your team needs to fully unlock the promise of and remove the pain from remote work. Everybody's working remotely now. You want it to be as easy as possible. You want this collaboration. Notion has figured it out. So again, go to Notion.so. Use the promo code FOREPLAY. That's one word, FOREPLAY. You can get $250 off the annual team plan.
Good
scares
morning.
The shit out of me.
Every time.
What
Every
the hell?
time.
That's a horrifying introduction every time I get on here. How you
What's up,
doing,
brother?
Alfonso?
Good,
Good,
man. How
man.
you been?
Good, dude. Good. We're excited to have you on, man. You're always
Oh,
our
you
favorite
know,
guest.
we're going to have some fun. I don't know what knowledge I'm bringing today, but because I haven't been playing for a minute.
Yeah,
But,
same,
you
man.
know, I had to throw some knowledge in there.
I'm on the shelf a little bit. I got elbow surgery, so I'm all wrapped up.
Oh, yuck.
Yeah. So
That sucks.
2 months on the shelf.
Well, you take it off for a minute and then you come back stronger.
Yep. I'll get really good at putting. Just my left hand.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
chipping, actually. Backhanded chipping, just one hand. I think my tempo is going to get good.
It'll get, you know, the good thing about that will be your hands will absolutely always stay forward.
Right, so I'm a lefty. My right arm is now hurt. So I'm wondering, is it good to practice that chipping?
Well,
with the
then
backhand?
no, then
Right.
Well, it won't be the backhand. It'll be your left hand will engage.
Right, I'll be flipping.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
No.
No, if you're a righty, then it's fine because what happens is now you're leading the leading edge stays down. You want to use the bounce, not a flip up. Because if you flip up with that hand, now you're going to get a lot of duffs and a lot of skulls.
Yep. Now you're speaking my language. There we go.
So now that might, but actually it might be a great thing to just start thinking about, like, wait a minute, I just need to keep this back. Like, in other words, think about your right back of your hand when you chip. Say, I'm going to keep that down the whole way.
Right.
I'm going to keep facing it down to the ground and never let the right wrist lead the fingertips.
Well, we're deep in something right now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Alfonso, what's up, man?
What's up, brother? How are you, man?
I'm great. Good to see you.
You too. I'm already helping him with his chips.
Good.
Makes sense.
Good.
Yeah. If the right wrist, as a lefty, if the right wrist leads the fingertips, then you're going to have nice, crisp chips.
Wow. I like that. Yeah, I'm already doing it right here in my seat.
Right? Because what will happen is
so you're not letting it.
You're not flipping. You don't want that ever to happen in a chip, right? That can happen. It shouldn't happen, but it can happen in a full swing. But in a chip, you never want that. So if that is always the case, right, then you're always going to catch ball first, and the bounce of the club will work versus, allowing that leading edge to get up into the ball or to release early and down into the ground before the ball.
If it's simple, you're allowing me to just think of one thing now. It's just that like the front of my hand. Now I'm not thinking of anything else.
No, just think that. Just like, okay, there's the ball. Play it a little bit back in your stance to start, right? So that you get used to catching ball first, right? So that's all you gotta do is play it a little bit back and then just keep that wrist, make the wrist go to the target. And what happens is now that because you can't actually do it with a ball for a minute, you're only gonna work in the technique until you feel like that works naturally. And then all of a sudden you put a ball there and you're not going to have that tendency to go back to what you already know.
Wow. Guys, he's getting me dialed right now.
I'm
not going to hit a golf ball for 2 months. I'm just going to work on front of my wrist and just leading the fingers.
Yep.
Leading the fingers. Oh my goodness, Alfonso.
Dude, you're You're like Tiger after the knee surgery, where Haney had him like going step by step over the course of like 6 months, basically easing into the swing because he was injured, and he would hit balls at like 10% and then like 30%, and then his swing was just money when he was fully healthy.
And also what happens there, why that like he's able to come back so strong after that is because he's now learning distances and feel. We all want to go to the full swing, but imagine all of a sudden you go, well, what's 10%?
I always question that. Even when a caddy's like giving me 10% of this putt, I'm like, I don't know distances yet. You know what I mean? Like I haven't practiced it enough. I don't know what.
So, because we're not making those connections yet.
Right.
Whereas, so like here's the thing I'll always say. I'll always get to a new golf course, and the first thing I ask is, what is it on the stimp meter? And everybody's like, okay, here we go. Here's that guy again, right? And I'm always like, because I have a natural distance per my site.
Right.
Right? It's a natural distance. We all know, like we all have our home golf club or golf course that we go to, and there might be a speed. And every time I see a putt that's 20 feet, this is how hard I hit it. That's what it is, because your brain is so used to playing that number. So when you go to a place that's slower, right, now you have to do math, because you've got to go, hey, that's 26 feet. That 20-footer is actually 26 feet. So I got to look 6 feet past that pin to roll it to the pin based on the speed of the greens, because it's slower than my golf club. Or if it's faster, I'm going to go, hey, that's 80%. Got it. So now I'm going to come off of like 20-footer putt. So it's 80%. I'm going to go, 4 feet short of that, and bang, look at that spot, and never look at the pin. Look at that spot, and that's what I'm going to putt to.
Man, so it's really interesting because when we played Kevin Kisner, we played him in a scramble
I saw that
a year and a half ago. Yeah,
right.
And it was the four of us against him. And the first hole, we played Pinehurst number 2. And, we're all doing our routine and all the BS. And then he gets on the first green. He probably had a 30-foot, like a little bit uphill putt for birdie. He left it like 10 feet short. And he just goes, oh, the greens are way slower than that practice green. That practice green is really fast. And then he makes his 10-footer. And then the rest of the round, his speed was perfect.
Perfect. Right. Because what he did was he knew exactly how far he was hitting the ball on that practice putting green. So like, if you ever just sit around, especially if you ever go to like a professional tournament and watch them on the greens or on the practice days, they do 2 things: short putts, long putts for speed. They want to know what the speed is. Once they get the speed down, now it's simply just, I'm working on my line. I'm just making sure I'm getting the ball started on my line. So he knows the distance for how long that putt. Look, that 35-footer, got it. This is what it's supposed to be. That came up 10 feet short. Got it. He's already made the calculation the rest of the day. He's looking at that pin and going, okay, it's 8 feet past that. And
It's amazing how much time I waste on the putting greens before rounds. I don't really know what I'm doing. That's what you're supposed to do, right? You go over to the putting green. Oh, this is how fast the greens are rolling, but I don't actually absorb any of that information, I don't think.
Well, because you don't have anything to base it off of.
Right.
So if you're not like like a country club person, right? They know what their greens are. Like at Lakeside, we're 10.5 to 11, right? That's pretty much every day. That's where it's going to be. So I go to a place and they're like, yeah, it was rolling at 12. I'm like, got it, 80%. Like every time I look at a putt, I'm going to look. I'm not trying to roll it to that actual pin. I'm rolling it to a few feet short of that pin every time, because it's going to get there based on the speed of the greens.
Right.
So I'm now, when I go to that practice green, and I've said the same thing as Kiz, right? I've gone onto the golf course and went, whoa, golf course ain't like the practice green.
Right.
Right. And then what will get most people, right? So why somebody will love a golf course and hate a golf course is when the greens are all different speeds.
Right.
Right. You go to a course and you're like, all right, first green's playing at an 11. The next green's at a 9-6. The next one's at a 13. You've got no shot of making putts that day.
It's
And
always
I mean,
interests
we've
me
all done that
too.
too, where it's like you almost use it as like an excuse a lot, right? You're like, oh, this green's just way slower sometimes. But I think
Right.
like a lot of
No, but
times
it's
you can
true.
be right if it's more in the shade or if it's in a lower spot of
Absolutely.
the course or whatever.
Absolutely.
You always see too, like specifically at Bethpage, so many golf courses and so many putting greens. They'll always tell you the specific one to go to for that course. They're like, "Oh, you're
Right.
putting on the wrong one today. That's running at the red speed. You want to go to the one behind the restaurant. That's
Right.
what you're going to see on the black course today." And I've always been like, "Is that really going to affect my practice day today? I'm just trying to roll balls in a hole." But when you do
Yeah, but-
your process like you're saying, it makes a massive difference.
You can't roll the ball in the hole if one of the two are off.
Right.
Speed and line. If one of them's off, the only way you make a putt is if it's a straight putt and you get it to the cup.
Right.
That's the only way you make a putt all day because their speed's off. Every putt has a little bit of break in it, right? So that break is going to be based on the speed. You can't make a putt if you can't see the speed into the cup. So there's absolute. When we go to Tahoe, there's 2 putting greens. One putting green is the big putting green. That putting green's a waste of time. Literally, it ain't even the golf course. There's nothing on the golf course that's similar to that green.
Right. So
There
you're just
might
wasting
be
your
one
time
hole.
at practice.
You're just wasting your time. You got to go over to the little one that no one's putting at.
So it's really interesting because you're obviously an analytical guy. We've gotten into we've gone deep in the sauce with you before on golf.
I guess we've started, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
This
we're
will be-
by the way, for people that don't know, Alfonso Ribeiro, we all joined at different times, and when I jumped into this chat, fucking these guys were deep in like Frankie making sure his right fingertips are behind his wrist, and I was
Dude, I
like,
knew-
we're just doing the show.
I knew when I jumped in because I jumped in a little late. I knew Frankie started with how do I make my game better with this elbow that
Exactly.
I
I
just
did
prepared.
say
Yeah.
that. I did
Like
say
I
that.
figured you guys had already started.
Dude, first of all, the show starts with that horrific robot saying that you're now being recorded. Watch everything you say. We're watching you when you sleep.
Right.
And then
Right,
we just
right.
went on. We just went on some elbow talk. He's fixed my chipping game already within 5 minutes, and now we're on to green talk. So yeah, Alfonso Ribeiro's joined
Yeah.
the show again.
Yeah, I mean, this is
So-
what we do. It's what we do.
This is how we roll, as you know. So we had Scott Fawcett on from Decade Golf.
Okay.
And then he and Lou Stagner, kind of big, golf data guys, and they use all this information. Will Zalatoris kind of made it pretty famous at the Masters when he contended his first attempt, despite having never played it. But he said he had like 25 years worth of course knowledge. And one of the things he said, because we were talking about Trent trying to break 100, and I believe it was Scott who said it at the time, where he was like, what I would do if I was caddying, I guarantee I could get it done. And what he said was like, I would just watch my player hit a few tee shots on the range, hit a few drivers, and then just hit a few irons, and then I would spend 90% of the time just doing speed drills with him on the putting green.
Absolutely.
Because he's like, I want to know their dispersion off the tee, like where I need to aim them, their dispersion basically hitting into the green, and then I need to know that they can two-putt, because if they can, and I can make sure that they can, then I can caddy them around the course and shave a bunch of strokes.
That is 1,000% right, 1,000% brilliant. That a good caddy can get you around the golf course, because let's just say you have a 40-yard slice. Every time he's aiming you down the left side. But what happens is because we all have this thing in our brain that wants our one good swing to actually be a good turnout, we'll aim down the middle.
Right.
And be in the right trees all day, right? Like there's a guy by the name of Roger Dunn, right? The Roger Dunn golf shops, right? Roger Dunn used to be a golf coach, and one of his famous lines was, "Dance with the girl you came with," right? You got to dance with the girl you came with. You get on a golf course, and if you're hitting it right that day, you better be aiming left. Like, don't try to fix it on the golf course. Don't try to continue to aim down the middle, and now I'm gonna do everything I can. No, you're hitting it right that day. Just aim down the left side and open up the whole hole, right? But speed is everything in golf. Speed is everything in every aspect of the game. Think about it, an iron shot, right? Where do you not want to miss it? Typically long. No, short is okay.
Short-sided, I was going to say.
Short-sighted, yes. Short-sighted, no way, right? So now, if you hit a baby fade or a draw, right, but your numbers are way long, way short, I got to play you front edge all day. Because 90% of greens are sloped back to front. So at least now we don't have a worry of a putt getting away from you. So everything's going to be hitting up into the green. Most golfers don't put enough spin to stop the ball with a chip. So let's use the slope to make sure that the ball can stop quickly enough that you can possibly get it around the cup and then two putt from there, right? So it's all about speed. It's always about speed. It's about how speed with your club, speed with your driver, speed with your iron, speed with your chip, speed with your putting. It's all speed. Line is really, I would say, 25% of the equation.
I think it's so interesting how accurate that is, too, on approach shots. And I was talking about this with Joe Scavron, who's Ricky's caddy, and we were saying, like, how many times in golf when you hit one right at the flag and it looks like it's 2 feet away and you get up there and you were a little bit long or a little bit short and you're like 30 feet. And you're actually like,
right.
Or 20 feet. And you're like, oh, shit. And then how many times do you hit one pin high that you thought was way left, you thought was well right, and you're like, I'm going to have a 40-foot putt. And you get up there and it's actually like 15 feet. And you got a pretty good look because being pin high for like, I guess it makes sense now, but when you see it from afar, your depth perception is so different. When you're pin high, everything's way better.
Well, we all fall in love with direction, right? Like, ooh, I hit that one right at the pin. Dude, you were 30 yards short. That didn't mean anything, right? It didn't mean anything. Like, you got to hit it at the pin, and it's got to be the right number, right? It's that famous Hal Sutton line, right? Be the right number today, right? Well, because he knew he was at the pin, but the thing that he didn't necessarily know was it the right number? Because if it's the right number, that's a great shot, right? So I have I'm playing with Justin Timberlake and Justin Rose at the AT&T one year, right? And we get to, I think it's our 9th green, okay? Justin Rose hits his ball 30 feet short of the pin. And when he hit the ball, he was like, all right. And I looked at him like, what do you mean, all right? That's 30 feet short. He's like, no, it is 30 feet short, but that putt is directly straight uphill. I got a straight putt at that birdie. And I was like, huh. He goes, yeah, on this hole, you can't be pin high. You got a 10-foot breaker, right? So if you hit the ball 8 feet right of the pin, you might have, because it goes so much front, back to front, right? And it was tucked away in a corner. And he's like, I'd have to play this ball 4 feet out on a 10-foot putt. But at 30 feet, I've got a direct line straight to that pin. And he goes and makes birdie. So the beauty of that lesson that I got that day was, oh, wow, pin high is not necessarily a great thing if it's on the wrong green. There is a spot that you're trying to hit it, right? Take the par 3 at Augusta, right? That everybody hits it, the back 9. Everybody hits it up on the right-hand side, and then it takes that spin and comes down to the left, right? You see it a billion times because they're not aiming at the pin. They're aiming at a different spot that will allow the ball with a shot shape to get near the pin. So course management, having a good caddy that knows where to hit it, knows where to aim you, knows your shot, knows your speed, knows your ability, that dude can turn a 100 into an 86 like that.
Right, because everybody's better at their home course, right? Like everybody that's a member of the place, like they're so good at that track, no matter what.
Because they know where not to miss it. They know where not to miss it.
Right.
It's almost, it's intuitive. Like, I don't even know if they know that they know where to miss it, but they just know where to miss it, right? They just, like, learn in their head how to hit this tee shot. They stand up there on the tee with a 5-wood or with a 4-iron every time. They don't even think about it, and they hit it out there, and they've got such confidence. So it's amazing in golf how you're like, no, the golf course, there's a fairway, and there's a green, and there's a hole, and there's bunkers, no matter what course it is.
Right.
Yet at people's home course, it makes such a big difference, and people's handicaps don't like necessarily travel all the time, but it's cool to hear it kind of work backwards through the reasons why, because it's just a fact that people know, yet you can't always put a finger on it.
Right. And there are times when I'll play a golf course for the first time and I'll actually play my best round that I'll play there for the next 10. Because I don't have any information that is bad. I have a guy who tells me, hit it at that tree. That's it.
Right.
Right? So now I've got no other thought in my brain. I'm not thinking about, well, wait a minute, is that bunker in play? Or is that I'm not thinking any of that. I'm thinking, hit it at that tree. So now, you know what they say, small focus, small miss. Right? So I'm aiming at that tree. Now, I might miss that tree by 15 yards right or left. But that tree was the middle of the fairway for my guy based on my shot shape. And he knew that if I hit it at that tree, that is where I've got the biggest area of miss. And so I'll go and I've got only good thoughts. And then one time you hit a bad shot somewhere, and the next time you play that hole, that's the first thought you have is, I remember when I hit that there, I can't hit it there. Now you're playing against something, you're getting into your head. You're not just swinging at a target and hitting it.
Pinehurst number 2 is like that big time. Like the first time you play it, it's sort of the caddy just tells you where to hit it, you're fine. And then the more you play, you realize that everything's like this. And as you're getting ready to take the club back, you're like, if you flare this one a little bit right, it catches that slope. It's in a horrible spot, and you're just out of it. And so You're right. I've heard a lot of people say, like, yeah, I played the course 2 or 3 times. Actually, the first time I played it, I was most comfortable because I didn't know how horrific it was out there the whole time.
Right. Yeah, well, there's a lot of really smart people that will say that the brain doesn't understand don't, right? So the brain only sees what you say. Right. So when you say don't hit it in the water, your brain goes hit it in the water. Then hear the don't. Right. So when you get on a golf course and you look directly at a very specific target, you're not thinking about don't hit it right in the trees. You're thinking just hit the target. Your brain goes hit the target. When you get to the top of your swing and you're in a bad spot, your brain goes, no. To hit it at that target, we got to do this. And it just does it.
Right.
And then you hit it at the tree. Right. Where you keep saying, don't leave it short. Well, you're going to do one of two things. You're either going to leave it short or you're going to blast it 100 yards past it, right? Because now what happens is don't leave it short. And then you say to yourself in your brain, aloud in your brain, make sure you hit this hard. And then you hit it hard, right? Or you don't say that and you say, don't leave it short, and you leave it way short. So it's not, there's the pin, hit it at the pin. That's 80%. Hit it 80%. 120%. Hit it 120%. That's it. That's the spot. That's the speed. Go hit it. Leave everything else out of it, and you will find yourself not having any troubles. Like, and by the way, I don't always do it right. Like I'm a good golfer, but I'm not like on the tour or playing, for anything for real. And I have those days where I need to tell myself the same stuff. Like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you not doing what you know you need to do? And there are days when it's like, oh man, I'm duffing chips. Man, you know how to not duff a chip. What are you doing? Something gets in your head. Now all of a sudden you're afraid of something else, and then the duff happens. So it's all a mental game. That's why golf is, I think, the most beautiful game in the world, is because simply you automatically, it's such a mental game. It's so much of it is in your head, and so little of it is actually in your swing.
It's interesting to me, because so much of this can, like you said, take up a lot of your brain space and your time out there of thinking through these things all of the time. Mm-hmm. And we all do, right? We all go through this, like, why am I doing it? We all go through different phases of, like, I'm thinking about this part of my game. I'm really focused on that part of my game. Some of it's free flowing. Some of it's not. Like, do you ever find it, like, difficult to enjoy it out there when you're thinking about this shit so much?
To be honest with you, always the most enjoyable rounds I have are typically my best rounds where I didn't know what I was shooting. Right? I didn't know what I was shooting. My best round ever, I shot 65 at Thornblade during the week of the BMW for what was then the Web.com tour. And my coach, Drew Steckel, was with me there that day. And I was 7 under through 12. Okay? And he turned to me and he goes, Al, do you know what you're shooting? And I was like, nah, I'm just working on the stuff we worked on the range. And he's like, dude, you're 7 under. And I stayed 7 under.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I had 2 par 5s to come, and it was like, but all of a sudden it got real to me that I was going to shoot my career low, and I tightened up. Now, he did that to me on purpose, because what he wanted to see was, under pressure, what happened? What was my tendency? Where did I start missing it on the golf course once I got tight? And then we were able to fix that on the range the next morning. But it was interesting because I was just like, I'm having fun. I'm hitting the ball. Look, it's going where I want to go. And Jason Gore was with me. He's like, dude, you're kicking my butt straight up today. And it's just, but it was because I was so not in the moment. So those are the best days when you simply are not, you're just doing it. You're just going out there, you're aiming at a target, you're hitting it at the target, and you're not thinking about it. But I will say, obviously, as I'm able to sit here and talk to you guys about this, right? The analytical process is what I enjoy. So right. I actually enjoy going through the mental games and the mental stuff and the like, okay, now let's turn it into a physical, and what are you going to do? And are you going to allow this moment to get to you? And right, like I enjoy that. That's part of the enjoyment of golf for me. It's not just hitting a ball at a target, right? That crisp feeling you have at impact, that's not it. That's not the part. I hit a lot of balls crisp at impact, so I don't get that joy that you get when you hit a really good shot. The enjoyment is the torture, right? The torture of like, am I going to be able to do it? Am I going to stick to it? Am I not going to let the demon of history come in and mess up this shot? And it's all a big mental,
Yeah.
Well, you're sick bastard.
You're a sick bastard. But does a small part of you wish he didn't tell you that you were 7 under through 12 holes? It could have been an even better day.
Yes. Yeah. With the 2 par 5s coming, there's no question that I wish he hadn't. I mean, I probably could have shot at least 63 that day, which would have been unbelievable. I mean, but I went out a few weeks back. I went out and shot a 65 at my home course, but it's a par 70 instead of a 72, right? And those days don't come by very easily. I mean, it just doesn't happen. But it was, again, one of those days I was out there by myself, and I was just practicing, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to play a round of golf by myself and just kind of like get into my zone. I was playing some music, and I shot 65, right? But by the way, didn't know it until 16, right? No clue, because I was just doing it and then writing the score and go to the next tee box and hitting the ball, wasn't even thinking about it. But that to me is that moment of like, okay, how do I do that in tournaments? How do I get out of tournament play and go into hanging out with the boys or by myself or whatever, and just hitting balls at targets and just letting the work that I've done on my swing just play, It happened to me one time in Tahoe, and I shot a 67, and like my caddy, on 18, actually about 16, I was like, why is nobody talking to me? Right? And I was like, no, I'm walking down the fairway. My caddy's not talking to me. I'm just kind of by myself. And I was like, why is nobody talking to me? They're like, dude, we don't want to ice the kicker. Right. I was like, what do you mean?
You're throwing a no-hitter.
I'm throwing a no, right? And it's like, hey, when you let him stay in his zone, we don't want to mess with him, and 2 par 5s coming in, and I end up shooting the 67. And so, but like, those are those days where you literally go shot to shot, moment to moment, and don't care at all about the process in between and thinking about the techniques. You just do it.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Those are some low fucking scores, man.
Those are good scores. That's what I was going to say.
No, Those were out of. Well, I mean,
This guy's just posting good scores.
The 65 that I had at Thornblade also had a hole in one. So, right, like it was that kind of round.
Wow.
65 with an ace is nice because you know that scorecard's going to live forever.
It did. It's right over there.
Was it the original scorecard? Or did you rewrite it?
Oh, no. The original scorecard, right. I had signed. I got on a plaque with the actual ball that I finished around with. Like, I had it like my pro shop. I brought the ball back and they made it for me. They had it made and put it in there, and it was
See, because we were discussing this the other day about scorecards and like penmanship. And
Yes.
I always take the scorecard. I just like good penmanship on scorecards. I don't know what it is. It's just do. And we were going back and forth about circles and squares and how people keep the card. And then some asshole sent us an email and was like, why don't you just rewrite it? Like if somebody does something cool, then you just like transcribe it onto a fresh one. I don't think that's the same thing. Like that scorecard from your ace is like that was in the cart with you or in your back pocket with you, and like you were. It's very raw and real. If you just rewrite it, you might as well have like typed it up on a computer. Like it's not part of the day.
I mean, I think they're both right. I think we're right in that like that means something to us, right? That might not mean anything to him. If penmanship is such an important factor, then but my scorecard looks horrible. Right. Like, I mean, I'm probably the only person who could read my scorecard. So like penmanship is not my thing. But like ending, like the ball, right? That ball that's on the little thing on the plaque, right? I didn't use that ball the whole 18 holes, but it was the one I finished with, right? It was the ball that went, it was actually on that scorecard. It wasn't the one that I finished with. It was my hole in one ball.
Yeah.
And
you
that
stop
ball
using it after? Did you stop using it?
Absolutely. That ball went in a special pocket in the bag so that when I got home, I was able to do that. But yeah, I mean, so but what's important to each individual? There's no right answer, right? Like it was important for that person, and that's cool.
Oh, we got a little family time.
Yeah, I got one. Yeah. Huh? You got a big spider?
Hi.
Okay. A big spider out there. Well, you go get that spider. Let mommy go get the spider, okay? We're doing an interview. Okay, say bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
You go get it.
Better get that spider.
Braver than I am with spiders. I'd be crying into your lap if there was a spider around.
No, the reality is that's why they came to get me, because she's like, there's a spider. Mommy's not touching it. The boys aren't touching it. It's got to be me. So I was like, hey, spider. We got to go get the spider.
So, Al, I got to say, it's nice to see you in a home. I think last time you were in like a van driving around the country last time we saw you.
Well, it was a big van. It was my RV, right? Like, yeah. So
That's right.
we were driving everywhere, and I'm home now. And but guess we're back into AFB season. So once we get back into production, I kind of put it in storage and hang out here more. We take smaller trips now. Like for my birthday, I turned 50 last month, and my gift to myself was from IndyCar. A buddy of mine, Brian Herta, who's the dad of Colton Herta, who's a driver for IndyCar series. I wanted to go spend the weekend up at Laguna Seca, the raceway up there in Monterey, and park my bus next to all the other drivers and hang out in the pits the whole weekend. And the funny story is I sang the national anthem, but the last time I sang the national anthem at that racetrack, my buddy Brian won the race. And then I sing the national anthem again, and his son Colton wins the race.
No
So
way.
it was very cool. But we take little small trips. We'll do a weekend trip or something like that. We don't do the big, 6-week, 2-month trip, going far away. So, but yeah, we're back home.
I guess bus is a more accurate way to describe it. I think van was a little offensive. So it's a bus.
Listen. It depends on what you call a van. I mean, if a 41-foot van is a van. I mean, it's a van.
Amazing. 32. This is 32nd season. Is that right?
32nd season. Our 700th episode just aired last week, and which is insane to think 700 episodes of one show, 32 seasons. This is my 7th season as the host, and the fact that I'm one season now, I'm into the season past the length of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, right, which is crazy that now this is the longest running job I've ever had. Insane.
Yeah, it's crazy, especially in this world where everyone gets so sick of stuff, right? Like Netflix does all these like one seasons and done, and then like all these shows get canceled. Like the fact that for 32 years that like you guys have figured out a way to just make America entertain is insane, right? Like
Well,
it really
I think
is blowing. It's mind blowing.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it just, nobody gets that leash from a network, and the fact that Vin DeBona has been able to keep this thing on the air with great hosts like Bob Saget and Tom Bergeron before me, and lucky enough for me to come in and get the job and keep the ball rolling, is incredible. I mean, it's the longest running primetime ABC show ever, right? And it doesn't look like there's any end in sight. I mean, the ratings have been great. We're very consistent. We're consistent even in our reruns. The audience still loves it, and they find a way to continue to sit down on Sunday nights with families and continue to watch the show. And, I think now it's people always talk about how the internet, like, how is it that people are still sitting in front of the TV watching a show when you could just go look at videos? And I think that there's something about the way we package our videos together, and with concepts and streams and different packages together, the audience wants to sit there and watch. I mean, you go looking at videos on the internet and you're going to end up, anywhere, right? Whereas looking at videos here on our show, families can sit together, all families together, sitting down and be able to watch together. That to me is absolutely the perfect Sunday night way to spend time with your family.
No doubt.
It's also a great show for its time and to be going into the 32nd season because everybody now just has a camera with them all the time. I mean, I imagine like the material back in the day had to be such a small percentage of what there is now because everyone could film everything at all times.
Absolutely. We get more videos now than we've ever gotten. People don't have to walk around like this with the camera on their shoulder, right? And I'm sure there's little kids like this. What does that mean, Daddy? Like that was the video camera, right? Everybody has a phone. Everybody can tape it. Everybody can, send it to us via the app or the ABC.com, and they submit the videos. And we've gotten more videos, and the videos are better than ever. And then we give people like ways to do things. So like Assignment America is a package that we put together that we tell people, hey, give us your best basketball trick shot, give us your best this or that, and they send in those videos. So we make our great packages, and I feel like the show this season we've added a couple of different new ones. We've got a new segment called "What Would Alfonso's Mom Say?" And we've got a package of videos, and ultimately my mom is from Trinidad and Tobago, so she's got the full Caribbean voice, and I do her voice, right? So it's, listen, why would you have somebody go up on a tin roof? If you're on a tin roof with a wet shoe, you're going to fall on the roof. Now you're stupid for being on the roof. Get off the roof, boy. So, I'll do the voices, and now so having a little more fun with it, and a little bit more me and my family. And it's a family show, so being able to add my mom to it in some way makes it even that much more fun.
That's fantastic.
Awesome.
That's incredible. That's just phenomenal. I love that. Yeah. No, it's great. And it's like you said, it's clearly it's great for the family. It's good fun. There's endless material now that you guys got. So yeah, we appreciate it. People should check it out. 32nd season, America's Funniest Home Videos. Alfonso Ribeiro, he's shooting 65s and 67s whenever he wants, unless people tell him what he's shooting and then he doesn't.
No.
But we appreciate it, man. We got to get out. We still got to get out and play. We got to set it up. We got to do it.
No, we got to do it, yo. Come to the West Coast at some point, and then we can figure this out.
I know. We will.
No problem.
Yep.
No problem. We appreciate it. Good luck. Good luck with everything. Good luck with the season. Good luck, with your golf game, and I'm sure we'll chat with you soon.
Good luck with that spider.
The spider. You got to take care of that spider.
Yeah. Hey, but the good thing is now that I'm 50, I get to put some pressure on the PGA Tour champions to let me play one real event one day.
Whoa. Yes.
Do it.
Now I am eligible. We're talking about it. So,
okay.
I'm still a global ambassador for PGA Tour champions. So, in the world of golf, that's like a super honor for me. But yeah, I'm trying to talk to somebody into letting me do one.
If you get in that, don't take it like listen to music, talk to your buddies.
Absolutely.
Don't take that shit seriously, because then you're gonna go out there shoot a 65, and you're gonna be like, what just happened? You're gonna be raising a trophy.
I mean, listen, I mean, technically I'm a professional because I take money for, the Tahoe event. So, look, American Century event, they pay me. So I'm a professional. I shoot 65s. I can mess around and win the tournament.
Oh, yeah.
That's
For sure.
never going to happen.
That can happen. Is that right? You lost your AM status because of that?
Oh, yeah, because anytime you take money, it takes then 2 years of not taking money to ask for your amateur status back. So, yeah, I've been a pro for the last, decade plus. But, but I don't – there's different levels of pro, right? Pro because somebody's paying you to play is not pro like you're a pro. So, big difference.
Bro, I think you embrace that. I think you're just like, yeah, I'm a pro golfer. That's what I would be telling you.
No, I say that to myself, but only by myself.
All right, man. Go take care of that spider. You got to get that thing.
Got it. You got it.
Eliminated.
Always a pleasure.
Yep. Thanks,
guys. Love it. Love being with you guys. And remember, wrist before fingertips. Okay,
Oh my gosh.
wrist before fingertips on the chips.
Look, I'm gonna do it right here with my broken arm. Just
Wrist before
fingertips.
fingertips.
I'm all in
right.
on that, baby. Thank you.
All right, guys. All right, always a pleasure.
Yep.
Thanks.
Take it
Thank you.
easy.
Talk to y'all.